I love when the music intertwines with the message. And that was just perfect. So thank you so much. Because we are talking about some shadow stuff today, are we not? When we talk about failure. So today we are here. We are here to celebrate, we are here to celebrate one of our sacred rituals, which is the burning bowl ceremony. And we do our release work, right? We release the things that no longer serve us from 2017, but I kind of put a cap on it and go, and even before that, right? Because sometimes things come up a little late, and we still need to work through releasing that, and that's okay. So here we are. We're going to do a burning bowl ceremony in which we do that release work. But what I find really interesting when we do our release work is oftentimes we label the things that we're releasing as failures, that we failed. And there's nothing wrong with that if we don't put meaning to the word failure. Because the dictionary defines failure as lack of success or the omission of expected or required action. Pretty neutral, is it not? Failure, the omission of expected or required action. So if I understood that to be failure, would I avoid failure in my life? No. So where do we get this really emotional connection to failure as this horrible thing that we need to avoid at all costs? Well, we get it from our culture. From the time we're little, we are told how to function in this society, in this culture. And the way that we are told that we would be really like hot and good and just like a superstar is to be accomplished, to succeed, and that success equals happiness. Success equals happiness. Well, that's not necessarily terrible, but what it sets us up for is that we are shame-filled when we fail. So I remember as a little kid, if I failed at something and I was called on it, I didn't want to acknowledge it. Because if I acknowledged it, I would be blamed, I would be shamed, and then I would probably be punished. So why would I want to admit that I failed in something? And we can see that really strongly when we look at our political system today, and we look and we see no one wants to admit that they failed at anything. We'd rather lie and spin things, right? Than say, oh, I made a mistake. Oh, I failed at this. So here's the turnaround. As metaphysicians, what do we do about failure? Why would I possibly say, step into failure with what we believe and what meaning we have made failure to mean? Charles Fillmore, our co-founder of Unity, he's written in The Revealing Word, he's defined failure. And he defines failure as the inability through lack of power to manifest, to demonstrate. The inability through the lack of power to demonstrate. Or stepping stone to something else.
I like that.
Stepping stone, I do too, Michelle, that's mine. Stepping stone to something else. Can you imagine if I was a little kid and I was just told, you failed, that's okay. It's a stepping stone to something else. I'd be like, ooh, where's my failure next, right? Bring it, let's see what I can fail at next, right? So, failure is actually required for our highest good. It's not something that we need to excise. You know, so often when we do shadow work, we look at trying to get rid of something, where what we really need to do is integrate it, because it's all an aspect of who we are. So I have this little chart, well, not really a chart, but just some talking points about how I see failure. Failure is human. meaning that if you are a human being on this planet, incarnating right now, it's normal to fail. Normal to fail. That is how we grow, and that is how we evolve. The lesson. Failure is the lesson through which we figure out, oh, could I have done that a little differently? Was there another way that I could have handled that situation or developed something differently? And what that gives us is foundation. Failure gives us the foundation on which we build on. Did you hear me? Failure gives us the foundation on which we build. Failure is required for success. How many of you know Sir James Dyson? Thank you, Russell. Who is Sir James Dyson?
He's like an engineer.
Yep. He actually designed the Dyson vacuum cleaner, people. Yes. That's who he is. So here is Sir James, as I know him personally, not. And he wants to make a vacuum that is going to be revolutionary. Did you know that he made 5,127 prototypes that did not work? 5,127 models that did not go to market. 15 years did not go to market. He's a billionaire today because he understood this theory that success requires failure. Each time he failed, he figured it out. Oh, it's not that approach. What if I tweaked? What if I changed this? What if we went this way? Failure.
You work awful hard to make nothing.
Well, you know, you say nothing and other people are like in love with the vacuum cleaner. What can I tell you? Failure is wisdom. Because once we realize that failure is part of the human condition, we get to be centered, divine human beings, not freaked out, not beating ourselves up, not in shame, but just like, oh, so I failed that. Oh, so what other path am I going to do? How am I going to shift this? Notice the difference from wallowing or blaming ourselves to, oh, yeah, good for me. I failed at that. Now what? And with that comes some compassion for ourselves and others as they fail, as human beings do. And lastly, failure is the only way through which we create anew. What we're talking about is a paradigm shift, is figuring out that there is another way of doing, another way of being. We cannot create anew from the same old, same old, same old. And we know that here in Unity, do we not? Okay. You've been with me for 2 years, and you know I'm looking for responses, right? You know that by now. So in Unity, do we not know this? Yes. Thank you. Wow. Whew, you make me work hard sometimes. So failure. So I want you to kind of keep this in mind as we go through the ceremony today of what we're releasing. What do we call failure? And then how do we see that failure? Of course, I do have a clip of a gentleman who is going to be dealing with failure. Let's see how he handles that. So you can see that we have an opportunity when we fail to create something magnificent, do we not? Joshua, I'm going to invite you up, and as I invite him up to prepare us for meditation, I'm cutting this a little shorter because I want to give you enough time to do your process and release today. So as he sings and creates that atmosphere for us, I want you to meditate on the fact of what you want to release. First of all, does everyone have a flash paper? A flash sheet, okay. Anyone not? Okay, I'm gonna ask, thank you. And so what I'd like you to think of as he prepares is, what do you want to release in 2017? You should also have a candle because we're going to do a two-step process. We're going to release, we're going to transmute that energy into healing and the gift. With me? All right, thank you.